What is going on, people? What's going on? It's G, and we are back in the building. Hope you guys are well. Hope everybody is doing good this week. Weather is not too great, but we are here regardless of anything. So, as you guys can obviously see on the screen today, we're going to be taking a look at Liverpool's attack. Yes, I know everyone's been speaking about it. It has been a hot topic for Liverpool fans as of recently, in the last, what do we say, month, so to speak. With the performances that people are watching, with the style of play, with the attackers, how some of them are not really scoring. Some of them are not really playing well, even though some of them might potentially also be getting the numbers. The performances aren't really matching up at this current moment in time. Now, obviously, not to get overreact, so to speak. Liverpool are currently sitting second in the Premier League at this current moment in time. Have got Arsenal obviously at the weekend in a top of the table clash. Beat Arsenal, Liverpool go top. Obviously, if Arsenal win, they obviously increase the points that is over Liverpool, and then Liverpool probably could be taken over by Aston Villa, who are currently sitting in third but level on points with Liverpool. But also, we are in the Carabao Cup quarter final, which is this evening. Which is tomorrow evening, should I say, sorry. So could potentially go through in that round, make it to the semi-finals of a cup competition. We are also through to the next round of the Europa League. So really and truly, there isn't any real doom and gloom, but you already know the vibes, man. You know how it is at Liverpool. I think we've all got PTSD. The last 30 years, it's hurt us. It's hurt us. So, of course, when we're looking at Liverpool, we've tasted that bit of success. We want to see success. We want to see that as a sustained thing, for this football club. And I think, most of us will probably say and agree that we probably deserve it. So, of course, when we're looking at topics like this, and as I mentioned before, many of us content creators, we have looked at this, the Liverpool attack, midfield and stuff like that, in terms of what can we be doing better. I think that's more what it is, more than trying to really get on to anybody, specifically. But that's what I'll be just obviously taking a look at today. So let me know, of course, what your thoughts are, your feelings and things like that in the comment section below. Let's get into it. Make sure you smash a like, make sure you share, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Let's get it.
Now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
Yes, people, man, and welcome to GTV. We are here and we're back in the damn building. As I mentioned before, obviously we're just here to talk about the Liverpool attack. As I said, I know everybody's spoken about it. We've all had our thoughts. I mean, I was on the Jerry James show last night. I was also on Ensman TV, and we're just taking a look at several different things. But obviously the attack was one of the things that kind of came up in conversation. A lot of people I've seen, there's stats everywhere. You already know the vibes, man. As a Liverpool fan, we know what it's like, especially on social media. We know what it's like when it comes to when we're not being perfect, when we're not being 10 out of 10 every single game. There's obviously going to be talk, and of course the talk kind of geared up or G'd itself up, no pun intended, after the game against Manchester United, drawing 0-0 against a United team who are quite depleted, in a real bad moment at this current moment in time, knocked out of Europe, injuries, missing their captain, playing youngsters in their midfield, and they've come away to Anfield and got come away with a point. Now, even just on that quickly, it's like I said on a show yesterday, ultimately you have to give props to Manchester United for what they did. If we're going to big ourselves up when we play away to Chelsea, a Chelsea side who, as we've seen this season, are very inconsistent, and we were only able to get a point. come up against a Manchester City side who haven't looked as flawless as we know that they can be, and we've only walked away with a point. I think we then got to look at Manchester United at the same way and say, well, for them, of course, we don't care, but for them, that's a good point. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things. So it obviously, look, rivalries aside, banter aside, I thought Manchester United did what they needed to do in the context of where they're at this current moment in time. I felt like that was what they were going to do, so they did it, and we've just got to, you know what I mean, we've got to look at ourselves, really. We should just be disappointed, of course, and rightly so, as for not winning the game and, you know, not getting the goals and stuff like that. I think Liverpool had over like 30-odd shots in the game and all these kind of statistics that obviously came up out of the game. It didn't look really good for Liverpool. I think even Jurgen Klopp even mentioned about, you know, dominating this Manchester United side and, you know, still not able to come away with a win. Of course, the guys are going to be disappointed. Everyone's disappointed. It's just not what we thought was going to happen. I don't know if we all thought it was going to be 7-0 again, but definitely thought that we'd walk away, you know, with a victory. And having not done so, rightly so, people are going to be angry. But in this video, really, I just wanted to take a look at the attack. Now, a couple months back, I think it was, I did a show talking about the Liverpool attack. It would have been near the early part of the season, called "Do Liverpool Have the Best Attack in Europe?" Now, if you haven't checked that out, please make sure you guys go and check out that video. It'd be quite interesting, you know, to go back to that video, see what was said, people in the comments, you know, what they've mentioned during that part of the season when Liverpool were doing well, so to speak, in terms of the attack were doing well. Players were scoring goals, you know, all of this kind of good stuff. And then as soon as things don't really look too great, now we're, you know, in this kind of situation where now I'm doing a video saying, can the attack lead Liverpool, you know, to glory? And I think that's just the up and down of being a Liverpool fan. You know, like I said, because we've tasted that kind of success under Jurgen Klopp, you know, because we've been a good team, you know, under Jurgen Klopp. Now that we're not really seeing that level of perfection that we are so used to seeing, you know, in this last like 3-4 seasons, taking out last season, but even if you want to include that, these last 3-4 seasons where we've seen that kind of level of perfection, when we don't see it now, of course, people are going to ask questions, you know, they're going to be upset about certain things and, you know, all of the above. So that's why today I just wanted to take a look at that and just really get the fans' opinion. You know, what do you guys think in regards to what's kind of going on with the Liverpool attackers? Taking a look at the Liverpool attackers, you know, goals and all these other kind of metrics and things like that. But really just talking about these players and where we think or how we think these players are going to lead us to glory this season. You know, still in the next round of the Europa League, as I mentioned, second in the Premier League, through to the Carabao Cup quarter-final, which we got against West Ham. You know, FA Cup obviously to come in January. And again, looking at that January period, Mo Salah, he's going away on AFCON duty. What's going to happen then? How is it looking, you know, during that kind of period? So, yeah, man, taking a look at a few bits and bobs. Guys, please make sure you are smashing that like button for me as well. So, we got the gang here. We got the gang here. Darwin Núñez, Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz, and Diogo Jota. Liverpool attack. Now, as I mentioned before, when I did do the show about do Liverpool have the best attack in Europe, obviously we looked at the depth of the team, and I think most of us, myself included, we probably looked at it and thought, in terms of depth-wise, yes, I think Liverpool, not even at the time, I still think it now, Liverpool probably have a better attack than most teams out there, and definitely top attacks, if I'm thinking about it. Individually, something that I've mentioned a lot of times, individually, no, I've not really ever felt that individually, if I looked at these players, so the Darwin Núñez, the Cody Gakpos, the Luis Diaz, the Diogo Jotas, when I look at these guys as individuals, I've never really felt, yes, it's the best. Mohamed Salah obviously being the only, obviously, of course, world-class player in there, which again is fine. But the rest of them, I've not really felt like, they've shown glimpses here and there, you know, of top quality performances and things like that. But in terms of a sustained period, we haven't really seen that from any of them, really, to be honest with you, other than Mohamed Salah. Now, obviously, they're all relatively new, bar Diogo Jota, sort of, you know, because he was still here when we still had Mane and Firmino. In that, what's that, 21-22 season, I think it was, that we signed him in. Obviously, Luis Diaz coming after that, then Darwin Núñez obviously coming in as well. And then last but not least, Cody Gakpo being signed last season. And of course, when we did sign Cody Gakpo, there was this uproar because, you know, we at the time we were like, we need a midfielder. We need a midfielder. We didn't know what the summer was looking like. Everything looked so bleak. We all, you know, melt down. Everyone was losing their minds. Liverpool was shit. We finished fifth. It was a crap season last season to then sign an attacker. Do we need this attacker? I mean, the question still kind of remains, did we need that type of attacker? Who knows? Obviously, you guys can answer the question in the comments once you see this video. But yeah, man, it's just really taking a look at that. If I get some stats, or take a look at some stats, should I say, sorry, from this season alone, from all of the attack. So we'll take a look at Cody Gakpo. We'll start off with him. Just make sure you guys can obviously see that. Let me zoom in, actually. Let me zoom in. Boom. So yes, hopefully you guys can obviously see that on the screen. So yeah, look, this is obviously Cody Gakpo this season. I mean, I don't want to troll through every single game and stuff like that. I'm not going to speak about their games and all of that. But when we look at, you know, the Liverpool attack as of recently, there has obviously been questions in regards to, you know, whether or not this attack can, and obviously as the name of the title, the name of the show is, can Liverpool's attack lead to glory? You know, it's one of those kind of things. I am looking at it and I am thinking to myself, can they realistically lead Liverpool to that glory that, you know, we feel that we deserve and things like that? You know, can they really put Liverpool on that kind of pedestal, you know, so to speak? Because of, you know, of course, we've looked at Liverpool's attack over, you know, recent seasons where we've had the Mo Salahs, the Firminos, the Manes, you know, they've helped, you know, alongside other parts of the team, they have helped us to, you know, be the team that we obviously see today. When those players go, and again, it's just like a cycle, every team, you know, once, you know, your great players do go, you do have to learn how to replace them, something that obviously Manchester United have done, you know, fantastically well. When they had Sir Alex Ferguson, they were doing fantastically well. Something that Manchester City have done reasonably, really well. Something that Chelsea were able to do as well in terms of just replacing those kind of players and still maintaining that kind of ethos of still being a top team, a team to be feared. Now we've obviously replaced these guys with, as I said, the Cody Gakpos, the Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota. How do people look at it now? And, you know, we look at this season, you know, for Cody Gakpo. I mean, you know, in terms of, you know, his statistics, if I count here how many games he hasn't scored, and now obviously, of course, you can see here in the first column here, this is obviously minutes played. So you can see in a lot of these games, taking out obviously the international football, he hasn't played a lot of minutes in some of these games, you know, here, but still minutes that, you know, he could potentially affect the game. If we look here, that's in the last, we'll go last 10 games. So I think that's just easiest rather than going throughout a whole season. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. 9, 10. So we'll stop there. If you want to include that, you can. But if we look at how many goals he's actually scored in that time, again, we can see the minutes. I understand if you're not getting that many minutes, you might not have that much of an opportunity, so to speak, but he is getting quite a lot of minutes in the game, in some games that he is playing. So again, take it with a pinch of salt, so to speak, but at the same time, we can still look at this and, you know, still judge on how he is, you know, performing this season. And we know, obviously, started off the season, you know, playing in that kind of midfield position. We played away to Chelsea the first game of the season, and we've seen him in that position quite a few times this season as well. He's kind of been the utility man in the attack in terms of playing sometimes off the left, sometimes through the middle, you know, in the midfield, you know, playing kind of everywhere. That might be hampering him in general into, you know, what we're seeing currently from Cody Gakpo this season. If we take a look, so from the Luton game, you know, I'll be kind. I'll go from the Bournemouth game here because he got a goal. So we've got there, this said I'll be 11 games. He scored 1, 2, 3. And that's it. So that's 3 goals in 11 games, in the last 11 games, you know, for Cody Gakpo. Doesn't really make for great reading, if I'm being totally honest with you. You know, as I mentioned, of course, you look, played 29 minutes against Manchester United, 33 against Crystal Palace, 26 against Fulham. So, of course, 17 against Manchester City. Of course, you're taking some of that with a pinch of salt, but still, these are the guys that we are looking to, you know, to help us, you know, in this kind of quest, you know, to lead us to the glory that we feel that we should potentially be at. 3 goals in 11 games. I don't know. I don't really know about all of that. If I'm being, you know, totally honest with you, you know, you guys can make your own minds up, you know, if I'm being totally honest with you. Let's take a look at Diogo Jota's stats. Obviously, we know Diogo Jota is currently coming back from an injury. This guy is constantly bloody injured. You know, it's really annoying, because I feel with someone like a Diogo Jota, when I look at him, I'm like, he's probably Liverpool's most natural striker, so to speak, in terms of the potency. He has got quite a decent record for Liverpool anyway, which makes it even more annoying, the sheer fact that he constantly gets himself injured, because you're like, you are actually good when you do get your run of games and stuff like that. I know he went through that long period of time where he didn't score for ages. Obviously, that was coupled with having the injury, but he still went a period of time, you know, without scoring any goals. I get all of that and I understand that, but we know, you know, watching Diogo Jota in the time that he has been here, that he is a very decent striker. Obviously, the question was posed as well before, you know, about Diogo Jota, especially during that injury period last season, you know, whether or not we feel, okay, should we sell someone like Jota? For me, I look at it like, I mean, would I sell him first out of the attack? No. Would I sell him? Yes, I probably would, just because of the availability of someone like him. It's just tricky, like with someone like him, you know, unless you're getting in a real bagsman, and then he will just play second fiddle in that regards, meaning maybe we might be able to, you know, kind of quell some of the injuries that he does get, you know, in over time. Maybe then he can be reliable in that kind of sense, playing as like a second striker. And obviously in some other games and things like that, he can obviously play in different positions, off the left, off the right, whatever. Then, yeah, maybe so. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sell him first. Let's put it to you, you know, let's put it to you that way. But again, let's look at Diogo Jota. Obviously, as I mentioned, look, he's been injured. Like, you can even see, look, last game against Manchester City, he played obviously 54 minutes in that game. Obviously, then got injured, I believe, yeah, in that game. And, you know, you can see here, like, the amount of games that he is actually playing. But let's look at his last 10 games, so to speak. So we've got here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 minutes against Bournemouth. I guess 5, 6, 7, 8. Look, we have to go all the way back to October because he's been injured. Jesus Christ. 9, 10. So up to the Tottenham game, and he came on and got sent off in that game anyway. So you know, it's you know, it's crazy. But anyways, let's look at that. Let's look at that. So 10 games. Got 1. We'll go 11 because I'll be kind. We'll go 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 goals in 11 games. That's pretty decent, I would say. You know what I mean? That's more or less just over a goal every other game, so to speak. So again, this is what I'm talking about. If this guy doesn't get injured, he's the one you're looking at and thinking he can get us the goals. He can help us alongside obviously Mo Salah, who we know obviously will get us goals regardless. But just looking at him in general, he can get us those goals. You know what I mean? It's just about, can we keep him fit? And that's always been, in my opinion, his issue since he's been at Liverpool is, can we just keep this guy fit? Keep him fit alongside Mo Salah. I feel like you've then got 2 goal scorers. You know, you have got 2 people there, you know, who are able to get you the goals. Played 130 matches for Liverpool. He's got 49 goals at this current moment in time. I know he'll be looking for number 50. I feel like that's okay for someone who's not a main striker in the team, been injured as well, you know, kind of thing. In the Premier League, he's got himself 4 goals in 12 matches, only started 8 games, you know, 640 minutes played, you know, far less than the other guys we're going to get into. And, you know, he's got himself 4 goals already. Like I said, I trust Diogo Jota to get me goals. Hence why it's like, I don't want to sell him. I wouldn't want to. If he could just keep fit, I don't want to sell Diogo Jota because he is a natural finisher. But unfortunately, it's the availability of these guys, man. I can't keep having oh, he's good, but he gets himself injured. Oh, but let's keep him because, you know, when he is playing, I can't stand it, man. It's so constant with this team, like all the time, especially in the last few years. We seem to always have a player that like, yeah, no, he's good. He's decent. He's blah, blah, blah. Oh, but he gets injured all the time. Oh, but he gets injured. And when he does get injured, he's out for a while, comes back later on, takes some time to get into it, as most players would. And then we're like, oh, we love him, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I can't keep doing that, man. I need players who are reliable. I need players who can consistently stay there. I'm not saying you can't get any injuries in your life, in your career, but you do need to be a lot more available than Diogo Jota is, you know. And it's annoying, it's sad, it's frustrating, it's, you know, all of the above. But it is what it is, you know, with someone like Diogo Jota. But for me, when I talk about strikers, if everybody was fit for a season, he'd probably be my go-to kind of player in terms of if I just wanted to play with a real number 9, I feel like he's more of a number 9 than everybody else, if I'm being totally honest with you, if you played him in that kind of position. But he does like to float and stuff like that. But, you know, it is what it is, you know, with someone like a Diogo Jota. If you take a look now, let's take a look at Luis Diaz. Take a look at his statistics. 67 games for Liverpool, got himself 16 goals. Don't know how you want to see that. In the Premier League, he's played 16 matches, started 12 of those games, and has got himself 3 goals in 1,005 minutes. Again, however you want to look at that, I'll allow people to, you know, make up their own mind. Obviously, we know of the issues that Luis Diaz has had this season in terms of off-field issues, in terms of his father and all of that kind of stuff. So there is a little bit of context with Luis Diaz, but I feel like with Diaz, for me, it's not so much about those other things. It's more about, okay, but when you are playing, some of the things that you're exhibiting on the pitch, taking on your man, being able to beat your man, you know, things that we were seeing when he joined Liverpool, we're not really seeing that now, if I'm being totally honest with you. And I believe that's then going to be the frustrating part about Luis Diaz, is because, and Jerry always talks about Diaz, you know, he's saying, you know, why I don't really like him and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's because you're not really like I said this before, when we signed him, the reason why I felt he looked so good was many factors. I felt like obviously the team was tired at that point when he did come into the team anyway. But when he did come, he had that enthusiasm. He still had that kind of flair that he was exhibiting, obviously, at Porto. The reason why I felt like we did want to sign him. Obviously, I know Spurs wanted to sign him as well. We wanted to get in there as quickly as possible. Not a problem. When he came in, he was just something different that we didn't really have in the attack. He wasn't like the other attackers that we had, you know, in the Manes. Obviously, Mane and Firmino were still there, but he wasn't like those kind of attackers. And I enjoyed that. You know, there was like a level of expression, a level of freedom, you know, when I watched Luis Diaz. And I said, I just hope that Klopp doesn't get too much of a hold of him and puts him into this system, because then you're gonna take away so much expression from his game. We see it time and time again. I don't always like correlating international football with club football, but we notice it when he goes away with his club. The expression, the freedom. Obviously, he's the main man over there. Of course, those kind of factors have to be, you know, factored in. But when we do see him, we're like, rah, I keep saying it's like I'm watching 2 different people. And then people obviously use those compilations that we see when he's away with Colombia and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, but look, Luis Diaz, he's doing this and he's doing that and red-tear. And I'm like, I agree. I know he can do those things. But at Liverpool, you're not asked to do those kind of things, even though he was allowed to do that when he first joined the football club. But now he's been put into the system and he's obviously trying to fit the system. And we've taken away so much from his game. You know, I always said anyway with this, like, he's always on this, you know, cut inside and just shoot and pray kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, bro, like, it's not all the time. Like, I don't feel like you have that in your locker, so to speak, to consistently keep doing that. And obviously when you do that at times, it is coming infield, passing the ball, or dribbling for too long where you can only pass the ball, but you're stretching to pass that ball, you know, at times. I know he had that injury last season. I know he's obviously then tried to work his way back, obviously, after that injury. But that was now done. Can we now see some performances, you know, from Luis Diaz, if you don't mind, you know? But anyway, we'll look to his last 10 games as well. And so we look here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. We'll count the Luton game. Obviously, that's where he came off the bench and actually helped us in that game, because we were looking at getting a 1-0 defeat, if I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, you guys can see here anyway, if I'm just looking at that doesn't make for great reading, if I'm being totally honest with you, but we'll just use the last 10 games fairly like I have it everyone else. So we got here Luton 1, 2, and that's it. So yeah, 2 goals. You know, is that going to kick us to some type of glory? You know, this is in the last 10 games, by the way. Again, where Liverpool have won games. Do you know what I mean? Where Liverpool have won games. It's not like we've played the last 10 games and, you know, we've been, you know, completely poor and no. We've won these games. Like, we've won most of these games. You know, bar the Toulouse game and the Manchester United game, we've won, you know, most of these games, and obviously the Manchester City game that's on there. We've won, you know, these games. So, you know, it's not like we're not winning these games, but is he contributing to that? And that's where, again, I look at it and I think to myself, as we look at the depth of the team, yes, it looks good on paper. Of course it does. I don't care what anyone says. And even the fact that I'm doing this video, regardless of it, I still look at it and think, well, you've still got Luis Diaz, you still got Diogo Jota, you still got Cody Gakpo, you still got Darwin Núñez, you still got Mohamed Salah. That most teams would kill for that, because most teams only have one main guy and then a dead second guy kind of thing. So in terms of the depth of the attack, no problem. Take out Mo Salah, because obviously he's the exception in terms of him being world class. When you then look at everybody else, are they of that level? Are they even of the level of some people's main guy? And it's difficult because, and obviously I did, again, I've done the video about rotation. When looking at the midfield, the attack is the exact same. We rotate quite a lot. It's not I said already, we do need to settle on a team. We do need to, obviously, when everyone's fit, which then makes it difficult. For example, we see in the defense, obviously Tsimikas deputizing for Andrew Robertson. Konate, sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. Matip then getting himself injured and all that kind of stuff. So I do get it. Injuries are going to play a factor, but we can have settled sides at times, which I feel would benefit us in the long run, because then those guys can then create some type of continuity, some kind of cohesion amongst each other. That's how we were able to build such a strong team, because we had the foundations. Of course, it helped in that season that we won the league, that players weren't really getting themselves injured, but at the same time, they were allowed to continuously play together. Previous season, play together. Mane, Salah, Firmino, they only become who they become because they're allowed to play together, as well as their own talents, of course, but they're allowed to play together. If we're not allowing these guys 1 minute, I know we're in the Europa League and it's giving players more opportunities, but it's almost coming at some level of detriment. Now, I caveat that we are through to the next round of the Europa League. We are second in the Premier League. So the overall picture is it doesn't even matter. Of course it doesn't. Obviously, we're looking at things now on the 19th of December. Things are slightly kind of good, if I'm being totally honest with you. Liverpool have exceeded my own expectations at this point, you know, from the beginning of the season, where I thought we would actually be. That's more, I guess, really to do with the other teams not doing as well as I thought. But Liverpool are there, and they are there on merit. So in the overall picture, does it really matter? But we do have to look at these kind of things, because ultimately it's a long season. You know, we don't want these kind of problems to be the reason why we don't do as well as we should do, you know, kind of thing. So that's why I look at these things. It's not it's not necessarily to even say, oh, we're doing shit or anything like that, so to speak, because we're not doing shit. That's definitely not true. But when you do look at these things, it is a little bit like, you know, kind of thing. But again, allow you guys to obviously make up your own mind, you know, in that regard. Let's look at the next player. We'll go to Darwin Núñez, the man of the hour. Played 66 games for Liverpool. He's got 22 goals. I mean, if you looked at that for a winger, I don't think people would even mind so much, you know. I don't feel like I would mind, if I'm being honest with you, considering what's his name, Diaz has got however many goals. As a winger, I don't think you'd care, because you wouldn't care as long as you had another guy who's able to score, obviously, more goals than that. But when he's your striker, he's now your number 9. We gave him that number 9 shirt, you know, in the summer. You know, we gave him that, okay, cool, you're going to be the main Don Dada. yeah, it don't really, you know, make for great reading. But we'll look at the last 10 games anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Obviously scored against Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. So we'll go here. We'll add in that one. So 1. Okay, so 1 goal. I thought there was another one, but it's only 1 goal. Obviously, we can talk about his assists if we want. And of course, if I check here, in the Premier League this season, he's only got 4 goals in 16 matches, but he's got himself 5 assists this season, which is good. So 9 goals and assists if you want to add it all up in 16 matches. But yeah, I'm really looking at your goals, because you are the number 9, you know, in the team. And, you know, we'll take a look at some of the other statistics from the Premier League in terms of big chances and stuff like that. That's always going to be the problem with Darwin Núñez. I don't want to do this attacking Darwin Núñez thing, because I feel like everybody's already done that. But when we are looking for goals, when we are looking at someone who can put the ball in the back of the net at a consistent rate, we are looking at you, Darwin Núñez, and we want you to do well. It's not like we're sitting there saying, I don't want him to do well, I want him to fail. Nah, because you failing doesn't help me out, you know, any stretch of imagination. So I want you to do well. But yeah, it just doesn't really see. I mean, we just saw there in the last 10 games, he got himself 1 goal. But then if you see the previous probably 10 games, we saw he scored in the Bournemouth game, in the Nottingham Forest game before that. He was going for a good patch of form. Is he going to be one of those kind of players, like almost like how I see Heung-min Son? Now, I look at Son, and I do think Son is a top player, but he's also a patchy player. He will go through period. Maybe not now, because maybe now he's playing number 9 and, you know, the burden's on him a bit more than it was on Harry Kane. Maybe so. Maybe we might see a different Son now. I don't know. We'll have to obviously wait until the end of the season. But the Son I remember prior, you know, to Harry Kane leaving was always a guy who's just in patches of form. But his patches of form was of an elite level. So you had to put him kind of in there, because you were like, well, when he's on form, cool. But then he has his you know, massive periods where he's not on form. So then you're kind of like, kind of thing. And I felt like that was always the problem with someone like Son. He might be still doing the right things on the pitch and doing whatever, but you're not really affecting the play, you know, so to speak. You know, even I do think Son is a top player. That's why I've always never put him in that elite category, because I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like you do it consistently enough for me to realistically say that. I feel like you just go through mad patches of form, and but those patches of form are of an elite kind of quality. So I'm not here to argue about Son anyway. You know, that's neither here nor there, and I don't really care about Son in that kind of light. But it's just to use that as an example. Are we going to see that with someone like a Darwin Núñez when he's in the mood, when he's in form? You know, your 2 goals against Newcastle, you go away with Uruguay, you get yourself goals, you're looking really good playing for Uruguay, you're the main man over there, you're the main striker over there, you got Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani, you know, all of these guys saying, you're the guy, you know, Bielsa, you're the guy, blah, blah, blah. Then you come back to Liverpool, and as I said, the last 10 games, you've got yourself 1 goal. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. That doesn't, at this moment in time, it doesn't show me that it's going to lead us to anything. So that's why I'm asking, can this attack realistically lead us to that glory? We've got all of these attackers, and they just don't really seem to be that great. Maybe Jota and Salah, probably the 2 you'd probably isolate, but the rest, and Jota can't keep himself fit. The rest of them, I'm looking at them and I'm like, are you the ones? Like, we can have all of these attackers, you can have all of this depth, but if they're not really helping, and I say that because then obviously we've got Mo Salah leaving in January to go on AFCON due, which we'll look at in a second. But also, just in a general sense, if Mo is then out of form too, who's scoring the goals? You know, are we going to keep having games like Fulham where we can just hope that we get wonder goals, pray that Harvey Elliott can come off the bench and get us a goal? I don't know, man. I really don't know. But we'll take a look at Mo Salah's record this season anyway. Let's take a look here. So cool. Salah, well, look, makes for fantastic reading. 328 games for Liverpool, 200 goals. Excellent. This season in the Premier League, 17 matches, 11 goals and 7 assists. 18 goals and assists this season. Fantastic. In terms of stats-wise, absolutely fantastic. Can't really complain. Performance-wise, I feel like you can complain a little bit, but it is what it is. So we look here. Last 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So last 10 games. 2, 3, 4 goals in his last 10 games. Again, it's not bad. I think Diogo Jota actually had 6 in his last 10, but he's obviously been injured, so he's missed quite a few games in there anyway. But 4 in his last 10, Jota 6 in his last 10. I think Gakpo was like 2 or 3, Nunes 1, Diaz, what was it, 1 or 2. Like I said, you can have all of these attackers, which is absolutely fine. But when you don't have, when one is out of form, it's not a problem, because in your mind, you're thinking, oh, if one's out of form, then you've got 4 more. 2's out of form, I still got 3 more. 3's out of form, I still got at least 2 guys. 4 out of form, 5 out of form, like, and this is where I'm asking is, can the attack lead Liverpool to glory? Because when you look on the face of it, I am a little bit skeptical, you know, about the Liverpool attack. As a collection, I've said it, they are fine as a collection. Would I sell some for someone? Yeah, I probably would. You know, I'm not going to delve into that, you know, too tough. But yes, I would change maybe 1 or 2 players for different type of players, you know, who I feel can affect, you know, play a lot better than these guys are exhibiting this season. But individually, that's where I look at them and think, do you get what I'm trying to say? And that's always going to be the, you know, the catch-22, you know, with the Liverpool attack. You know, I know we can get, you know, now we're getting goals from, well, we're getting some goals from the midfield. I wouldn't get gassed at that, so to speak, again, as of yet. Obviously, we're still like, we're more or less at the halfway point in the season. We've still got the other half to go, so maybe these guys will get more goals. Trent will probably get more goals. Szoboszlai, Endo, Gravenberch, all of these guys will probably get more goals, so that's great. But I also feel like, because we're measuring it against Fabinho, Henderson, and Ginny, 3 players who are not tasked with scoring goals, it's chalk and cheese, man. I feel like it's almost unfair to really compare them. That's why when people say, oh, but we're getting goals from midfield when we wasn't before. Yeah, I know we wasn't, because before, that's not what they were asked to do. Guess what? Before, they were a lot more defensively stable. These guys are not defensively stable, as we have seen on multiple occasions. Those guys were defensively stable, but we had 3 killers up top. That was the difference. We have no killers. Well, we have 1 killer up top in Mohamed Salah. That's it. You got 4 other guys who are not really killers, or can't keep themselves fit enough to be even killers in Diogo Jota's case. So the midfield kind of have to chip in with goals. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Maybe Klopp knew that. Maybe Klopp understands that he doesn't really have the killers that he needs. So he had to then look at where else can I get the goals? We've seen with Trent in this kind of, not new role, but in terms of this period of this patch of form that he's had in scoring goals. Maybe he's thinking, if I can just get as many goals elsewhere, not a problem. I know people then want to then refer it to obviously Manchester City and say, oh, but City only have Haaland who score goals. Totally understand that. But when you're a team who creates so many different chances, I think they've scored 40 goals this season, you know, in the league, and Haaland's only scored 14 of those. Someone else must be getting, I think Julian Alvarez got 4 in the league. Someone's getting goals. Clearly, they're creating enough chances that it doesn't even matter, because they have players who, in those chances, can get you the goals. But you've got a main hitman in a number 9, whereas our main hitman is a right winger. It's so tricky. Our main guy is a right winger. The other 2, the striker, isn't main, and the left winger constantly keeps changing. So these guys, then it's like, if your right winger isn't really getting you goals, can someone else fill that gap? That's where I'm asking. But my thing is, Man City have only got 1 striker, 2 strikers in Julian Alvarez. Let's say they got 2 strikers. We've got 5 attackers. And you could say maybe 3 strikers, you know, within that. And it's our right winger who's the main kind of guy. It's a catch-22, man. It's a catch-22. Again, I'm not trying to, I don't want to compare too much with the Manchester City, because it's obviously done a lot differently. But yeah, it is one of those kind of things, I do believe. But we'll take a look at Squawka here. Let's see if you guys can see that. Yep. If we take a look at Squawka here, let's just double check that for a minute. Yep. You guys can obviously see here. Let's start off here. So obviously this is per 90 for all the Liverpool attack this season. Gakpo's 15 games, Núñez 16, Salah 17, Diogo Jota 12, and Luis Diaz 16. Yes, I know they've not played full games and blah, blah, blah. But we're just looking at this is just per 90, which is why I didn't want to do total, because obviously they're not playing. They're not starting all of these games and they're coming off the bench. But just when they are on the pitch, what are they actually doing and how they obviously affecting play? We know with goals, that's going to be Mo Salah regardless. Anyway, goals from inside the box, again, it's going to be Salah regardless. Goals from outside the box, this is where Diogo Jota has done the best here. Headed goals, wow, didn't think Salah would be there, but he's there. Conversion rate, 26%. Diogo Jota's conversion rate is actually better than Mohamed Salah. You can see here, Cody Gakpo's conversion rate is better than Darwin Núñez, but of course, with how many goals he scored, I would expect it. And then obviously you can see here Luis Diaz again in terms of his conversion rate. But Núñez is obviously only 10%, which is crazy considering he's getting the most shots out of everybody here, 3.7 per 90 minutes. You can see his shot accuracy is actually at 47%, which puts him third on the list here, with Mo Salah obviously at 59, Diogo Jota again 53. This is why I said about Diogo Jota being that kind of guy. Shots on target per 90, Núñez and Salah lead out, and then obviously Diogo Jota. Hitting the woodwork, you can see, is Darwin Núñez. He hits the woodwork quite a bit. Chances created, obviously Mo, I would expect that for him to be creating so many chances. And then obviously Jota and Diaz as well, with Darwin Núñez closely following behind. Passes completed per 90. This is where Diaz is completing more passes. Crosses attempted was something I looked at. Salah's attempting 1.3 crosses per game. Don't know if you feel like that's a lot, but cool, that's what he's doing. The rest of them are all at 0.6 or 7, you know, with Darwin Núñez actually coming in second in that kind of regard. Through balls attempted in games, Gakpo is actually at 0.2 for Darwin Núñez and Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz, whereas, you know, Mohamed Salah 0.8. Forward passes per 90 minutes, 9.5 here, 4.8 from Darwin Núñez, which I'm not too fussed about if you are the main striker, or if you're playing up front, should I say. Cody Gakpo 8.6. Yep. Duels contested in games. Diogo Jota is actually contesting 14.8 duels, with Diaz contesting 14.6. Cody Gakpo 12.9. Obviously, again, context. Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah not really contesting that much. Salah with the least take-ons completed. This was the interesting one. Luis Diaz is 1.8 per 90. Salah's 1. Núñez 0.5. Cody Gakpo 1.7 and Diogo Jota 1.6. We talk about how the Liverpool wingers are not really taking on their players, beating their players, you know, when they are down the, or when they are, you know, playing on the wings. Yeah, it makes for whatever reading you want. Their take on success here, you can see 60% for Cody Gakpo, 29 for Núñez, 33 for Salah. I'm not even surprised with the Salah one. Take on Diogo Jota 52% and Luis Diaz at 50%. Aerial duels, success, ground duels contested, with Diaz contesting quite a lot. He does seem to contest quite a lot when I look at the games, to be fair. But again, looking at these stats, again, it's just metrics, it's just numbers. It's just really just to show you guys how these guys are performing per 90 minutes. Again, make up your own decision in how you want to take that, how you read that, how you know, necessarily feel, would I say, about that. But yeah, I think it does tell you quite a bit, you know, about this Liverpool attack, in my opinion, in terms of, as I mentioned before, at the beginning of the season, you know, everyone spoke about it being, you know, this amazing attack. We were scoring goals and this, that, and the other. And I understand players can, you know, go through patches of form. That's not a problem. Every player and every team is going to go through that. The problem is when you've got so many going through it at the exact same time, that's, for me, a cause for concern. Now, I said it already, if it continues up until basically the new year, I don't know what I can do, what I can say, to be honest, anyway, but that will then be something where you do need to start looking at and saying, hey, yo, we need to change something, whether it's the way that we play, whether it's getting players closer to them, you know, because I do feel like the midfield and the attack are not really linking up that well, in my personal opinion. Yes, we're playing a lot of passes into the final third from, I think, from Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know, and Mohamed Salah is obviously trying to do his thing. But when you watch the games, when I'm looking at it, it doesn't really look like we are linking up that well, in my personal opinion. We look at the goals. This again, I'm just doing Premier League. This is from this season. Obviously, Mohamed Salah, second behind Erling Haaland this season. Jared Bowen's actually up there as well. Any more Liverpool players? Darwin Núñez on 4, so it's that rank number 20, joint 28th. Again, I understand if you've got one main player like Man City, they've got one main player, and then obviously you can see with like Foden and Alvarez, they're chipping in, you know, with 4 goals themselves. Maybe got another player on 4. Let me just double check. No, we don't. The next player's on 3 with Luis Diaz. So yeah, again, you take that however you want to kind of take that. If I'm being totally honest with you, if I start sharing that, if I show you guys big chances missed this season, boom. So big chances missed, you can see here. Obviously, Darwin Núñez sits there just behind Erling Haaland, who has 17 big chances missed. He's ahead of obviously Ollie Watkins, Nicholas Jackson, who have both got more goals than him this season. Apologies if I go back there. Mohamed Salah is obviously up there with 7 big chances missed as well, but he's obviously got more goals than big chances missed. We got anyone else on the list for Liverpool? Luis Diaz on 3 big chances missed, but he's also got himself 3 goals. So, you know, again, his kind of ratio, again, is matching up. But like I said, I don't want to get on to Darwin Núñez, but you are missing so many big chances and you've got 4 goals. Like, I don't, it's like, it's great that you're getting in the areas to get these chances. He's got good movement. You could even say great movement. The fact that he's able to get himself there, again, not a major problem. I like that about him. But you're missing a lot of chances and you're not scoring at a rate where I'm like, okay, heck, you've got 8 goals as an example. He's got 8 goals, but he's missing 15 chances. Okay, we still need to work on it, but okay, he's got more goals to be able to be like, okay, not a problem. 15 big chances. That's not even just big chances on its own. Forget the other chances that he's potentially missing, you know, across the season. And you've got 4 goals. And I don't even, the next person I think was up there was Salah, then I think Luis Diaz. You know, it's honestly, I'm just tired, man. I'm just tired sometimes of this attack when I watch them play, man, because like I said, there's just no real cohesion when I'm watching these guys play. And I think that's what frustrates me the most. Even when I look at, I took a look at, show you guys here, I took a look at the offsides, even for this season. I just wanted to take a look at other little metrics, just maybe something that would make me think a bit differently. And even when I looked at that, Darwin Núñez has been caught offside 14 times, like one behind Alanya, who's been caught offside enough times. Luis Diaz caught offside 10 times. You know, again, not too much of an issue, and it's just a metric. But I'm looking at these kind of things. Stay onside a bit more. Maybe that will help to get you, you know, some goals. I don't know. You know, keeping yourselves in the right kind of positions. I don't know. I'm not a tactico. I'm not, you know, that kind of individual, man. I'm just trying to look at everything and trying to maybe find a reason as to why the team isn't, or why the attack, should I say, isn't really performing at this current moment in time. Yes, they were getting goals before, well, mostly Salah, but they were getting goals and stuff like that beforehand. Yes, we've won games. Yes, we're through to the next round of the Europa League. Yes, we're sitting second in the Premier League. But you watch the games and you guys can see that fundamentally there is some type of issue, I feel, within that attack, but really the midfield to attack, in terms of the attack doesn't seem to be pressing as well as it used to do, you know, when we were in our pomp, which then leaves a big gap for then the midfield, who then have to try and close that gap, which then leaves a gap in behind them. Now it's domino effect. Now everybody's having to, you know, push themselves a bit more forward, you know, in the games. And it's just about being smart with certain things. That's just how I see it. It's just about being smart. But like I said before, I do ask the question, do we feel that this Liverpool attack can lead Liverpool to glory? Let me know what you guys obviously think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think in terms of how we see it. I'm not really asking in terms of if you want players to leave and you want this guy to be sold, and I'm not really here for all of that. I'm just asking, do you guys have the faith that these guys are going to be able to do so? Listen, I showed you guys the stats in terms of the last 10 games for all of the attackers that we do have. It doesn't make for great reading. So obviously, maybe on the face of it right now, it doesn't look, too great. Maybe in the next 10 games, it might all change. We know how football is. It's just a flip of a coin at the end of the day. 1 minute you're in form, next minute you're out of form. As I mentioned before, if I just quickly show you guys actually before I head out here, this is Mo Salah's schedule for AFCON in January. So you can see here, starts on the 13th of January, ends, if he gets to the final, on the 10th of January. These are the games he may potentially miss, obviously not including if we make it through this game against Arsenal in the FA Cup third round. We'll then obviously have another fixture, I believe, to play before, fitted into these group of games that we can obviously see here. I mean, if he makes it all the way to the final, are we confident? I think that's how I looked at it, is, are we confident that the other guys are going to be able to step up? Now, we've not had Salah and Mane before, and we've been relatively okay. I remember having Oxlade-Chamberlain playing, through the middle and out wide and stuff like that. Fabinho chipped in with goals one season. Like, we've been able to make do in other seasons. Do you guys think we're going to be able to make do this season? Is really my thing. I mean, for Liverpool's sake, because I don't really care about Egypt, for Liverpool's sake, I hope obviously he comes back that 24th, after the group stage games, and then whether he's going to be allowed to play for that Chelsea game and then onwards, no problem, because then obviously we're going to need him for that Arsenal game, especially, away. No problem. I've got no issues with that. If he does make it past all of these kind of dates, that's where we start looking at it and we're thinking, eesh, you know what I mean? We may need him back, but of course we don't know. Let's wait and see first how the guys obviously do. We have got game coming up against West Ham in the Carabao Cup. And then obviously we have got the game against Arsenal at the weekend. Let's hope the picture looks different. We already know when Liverpool win, we're the greatest team in the world. When we lose, we're shit, we're rubbish, we're not going to win anything. So we already know the vibes, we already know how it is. Let's just wait and see, and then obviously take things from there. But guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you for anyone who's still tuned in towards the end of this video. Please make sure you're obviously hitting that like button. Make sure you are sharing and subscribing to the channel if you could please do so. I'm G. I'll ask you again, can the attack lead Liverpool to glory this season? Let me know in the comment section. We out, people.